Hello everyone. Today I want to talk with you about a new regulation that has sparked heated discussion recently. Shanxi announced that, starting from December 1, 2025, insulting older unmarried women is prohibited. And it explicitly affirms that women enjoy inheritance rights equal to those of men. As soon as this law was announced, it shot to the top of the trending lists. Some people applauded, believing this is progress of the times. Others were puzzled. Why single out protection for older leftover women? In the online world, the labels older leftover men and older leftover women have long been covered with countless biases and mockery. A man carefully read through the policy text and felt a bit confused. Why does it only say you can't insult older leftover women? What about older leftover men? He said he has been called old bachelor and jiaosi, a derogatory term for loser, for years. And after hearing it so often, it has already become a joke. He does not oppose equality of rights, but he feels that fairness should not belong to only one side.
Breaking news. Shanxi clearly stipulates that insulting and defaming older unmarried women is prohibited, and that women enjoy inheritance rights equal to those of men. It will take effect on December 1, 2025. Among its provisions, it explicitly prohibits insulting and defaming older unmarried women, and prohibits discriminating against or abusing women who have given birth to baby girls or disabled infants, as well as women who are infertile. It prohibits using the internet to produce, copy, publish, or disseminate information that infringes upon women's lawful rights and interests. I think this is very good, and I hope other places can catch up as soon as possible. However, there are 2 points I don't quite understand. I can understand prohibiting discrimination against and abuse of women who have given birth to baby girls or disabled infants. But how are older leftover women different from ordinary people? You can't insult older leftover women? I think this clause should be changed to, you can't insult others. I don't quite get the word insult. Why does it have to be singled out specifically to target older leftover women? Or is there something special about older leftover women? I've been single for so many years, and people especially like to call me old bachelor, jiaosi, bottom of society man, old never married, and even more vicious terms than these. Right now there are too many insulting words targeting us older leftover men. Older leftover women should be respected, and I think we older leftover men should be as well. Personally, I feel this clause would be better if it were changed to, you can't insult leftover men and leftover women, which would be better. Second, I feel that the clause, women enjoy inheritance rights equal to those of men, is a bit confusing to me. For example, in our family I have 2 elder sisters, but there is only one apartment. My parents said this apartment is left to me for marriage, this apartment belongs to me, but after my elder sisters see this news, will they come to fight me for the property? I'm thinking now, from ancient times to the present, a daughter who marries out is like water splashed out. Boys enjoy inheritance rights because they have to bear the responsibility for their parents' future life and death, aging, and illness. Many daughters will marry far away, and if daughters who marry far away also enjoy the same inheritance rights, can they fulfill the corresponding obligation of supporting their parents? This is a problem, and it is very likely to cause more family conflicts. I think any law's promulgation and implementation is to maintain social order, safeguard citizens' rights and interests, regulate social behavior, promote fairness and justice, and drive socioeconomic development. I hope this pilot in Shanxi can have a very good start.
If this man's thinking comes from the rules level, then the next woman's story is more like a mirror reflecting countless urban women. She does not hate men, but realizes that when women are excessively encouraged to be independent and not marry, many people end up becoming isolated islands. Her experience is almost the ultimate version of older age anxiety. Let's keep going.
我是极其失败的大龄剩女。
I am an extremely failed older leftover woman, but a very successful negative example. Female friends, by all means do not be like me. I am the most tragic lesson. My paternal grandparents and maternal grandparents have all passed away, and when I was 5 years old, my father was also gone. I have no children, so my only close relative left is my elderly mother. But in these past few years, my elderly mother has basically fallen into a state of utter despair and giving up on me. To be honest, my mom has aged particularly fast these years. Now her hair is full of white, her condition is far worse than before, and every few days some minor ailment pops up. I am completely unable to face her gradual aging. And when you are in your 30s, your family life is a failure, your filial piety to elders is a failure, you have no child of your own, no husband, no family. And being given up by your closest relative, what kind of despair is that? I found that I made a mistake. Since childhood my mother took me drifting around, enduring scorn and ridicule. Then I always felt that if I didn't let my mother live a good life, I would not be worthy of a partner. So I had to work hard to have money and give my future family enough security. Finally, now that I want to find a soulmate and the father of my child, I have found that this is basically not very possible. In fact, many of us women don't understand that what is considered excellent in men's eyes and what is considered excellent in our eyes are different. What men consider excellent in women is being younger, gentle, considerate, sensible, willing to have children, and willing to contribute to the family. This is not men's fault. Don't we women also consider men's excellence to be able to earn money, generous and considerate, gentle and sensible, and give you a sense of ritual during holidays? But those so-called independent women in quotation marks, what they consider excellence is all about making themselves feel good, rather than making your marriage good and your family good. In fact, relationships between women are inherently competitive, and those who praise you every day saying, "Amazing sis, you are too excellent, no man is worthy of you." Let me tell you, this kind of talk can fool you to death. To put it bluntly, your sisters are your competitors. The country is advocating having more children, yet some people insist on vigorously promoting not marrying and not having children online, which runs counter to the state's position. The process of urbanization is similar, and we can learn from the development process of other cities. Take our neighbor Japan doing quite well. When their economy was relatively in a bubble, they kept promoting things like, a woman should have 5 men at the same time, respectively the one who spends money on her, the one who lives with her, and so on. But when the economy actually regressed, if you then look at the status of Japanese women now, you can predict that next we will also face such an era. In fact, women are not that high and mighty, and we may even need to compete to gain the favor of more men. Men are instead high-quality resources. Men really care about women's age, and of course women also care about men's age, but the problem is that women's prime childbearing period is indeed very short. This is an objective fact. Childbearing is not something you do for a man, the child belongs to you in the first place. And you just happen to meet a man who can help share the pressures of childbearing, co-raise the child, and has relatively good genes. As for those who say, "I'm not willing to be a nanny for a man, have children, or become his childbearing machine," then don't get married, don't have children, live your life well, just don't go online and talk nonsense and mislead others. So do you know what situation I've reached now? I'm considering whether I should directly become a stepmother, or lower my standards to find a man with poorer conditions. In any case, I must have a child, I must have a family, a safe, warm, steady, cozy home. So really, don't be like me.
However, not all women are passively waiting. In this era where marriage and dating are increasingly realistic, there are also some girls who learn trade-offs and clarity early. They don't cling to fantasies, yet they have not lost hope. Even the matchmaker feels that this girl's rationality means she will definitely find a partner she's satisfied with. Let's take a look at what this smart girl has to say.
我在深圳02年是211本科和香港的一个硕士在读，身高170，体重95斤吧。读书之余呢是兼职平面模特，原生家庭的经济情况不太好，是想问一下月老我的这个择偶10五以内吧，因为我的原生家庭不太好。
87年。首先我喜欢您的坦诚啊，不藏是大道。有生育史的考虑吗？
孩子不跟他的话我可以考虑。
咱找这路子可不能要求生理吸引啊，不能要求生理磁场啊，就是形象差一点
可以。
家庭责任感低一点呢，就1周回家1天2天。
那得看他其他方面的这些都对我好不好了吧。
能接受男生87年在深圳离异，有生育史没有抚养权，能接受男生家庭责任感低一点，你好好去打磨软实力。我觉得找年收入300到500万的一点问题没有。您懂取舍，跟你同生胎位的女生，她们接受不了的短板，你能接受？
我该怎么去打开我的社交圈呢？我想争取在25岁之前就结婚吧。
黄金择偶期，付费去点有价值的、有验证门槛的渠道，便宜没好货，有价值的圈层不可能是免费的，而且不会说多昂贵，这个你放心啊。没问题，我喜欢你这种性格啊，不端着不藏啊。
因为我的家庭条件不太好，父母都没有领养老保险的这种。我是西北那边来的，但是我可以接受原价。
我从来没有劝过女生向上社交，我都是劝此消彼长或者是门当户对。你可实打实有向上社交的硬实力，我能抿出来，就您说话的言语之中啊，是有那种对食物的饥饿感跟语言当中的凌厉性的，能找啊。
谢谢月老，谢谢。
这叫有效美女，这就能来5000万局。深圳的，你要说这是专科平面模特就来不了。
谢谢。
To be honest, after watching these 3 segments, I feel quite complicated inside. This new regulation in Shanxi looks like it's standing up for older unmarried women. But behind it, it's actually society redefining who deserves respect. In the past, older girls were called older leftover women, and men were laughed at as old bachelors. And these words sounded like jokes. But after a long time, they became labels that hurt people's hearts. Now the law has finally stood up and said, you can't insult them anymore. This step is quite difficult and quite late, but it has finally been taken. But if you think from another angle, what that man said isn't without reason. Why write only, you can't insult older leftover women? Is the dignity of older leftover men not worthy of protection? This shows that we haven't learned to look at each other on an equal plane. While fighting for the disadvantaged, we shouldn't let the other side be ignored. That woman who cried while talking about her own failure as an older woman is actually quite heartbreaking. She worked hard and was independent, but in the end was worn down by reality. But that young woman in Shenzhen is different. She understands trade-offs, knows what she wants, and dares to ask for it. Women of an era, from being defined to self-defined. Actually, this is the greatest progress. The law can control mouths, but it can't control prejudice. But if it can make people say one less sarcastic line and show a bit more understanding, then this new regulation is worth it. What do you think? Do you think this is social progress or a new kind of unfairness? Feel free to chat in the comments. See you next time.